Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel, welcome back to my page. So today we'll be learning how to import data into Power BI and remove errors, null values, handle missing values and prepare our data for powerful analysis and visualization. Automatically what we are going to be doing today is data cleaning. Most data imported from Excel is usually messy, and for you to get a very good visualization, you need to remove the dates. So that's what I'm going to be doing now. So the first thing I'm going to do now is to import the data I want to use. I'll go to get data. The file I want to use is an Excel file. So I'll click on Excel notebook and I'll get the file from, let me text it. So this is where we have the data. I'm going to click on clean data to import it. So it's importing. So the first thing we did now is to click on get data, then get the location where you have the file. Then you click on get data. So as it's loading, all I need to do is to check this is the file I want to import. I'll click on it. Down here I have load, transform data and cancel. So I can't just load the data because I know it's not a clean data. You can only click on load when your data you're importing is clean. So I'm going to take it to transform data so that I can be able to clean the data for a good visualization. So I'll click on transform data. It's loading. Good. So this is the query we imported. We only have one table here, which is sales table. This is our table view, how the table we imported look like, and here is our properties, the applied steps we have done so far. Good. So what we're going to do now is looking at this table. You see that things are not. It's not. If you look at here, we have our value is 91%. It's not a clean table. So what we're going to do now is the first thing we're going to do now is to promote the first column here. If you look at here, this thing looks good to be our header. We have salesperson, north, east, west, and south. This first row is very good for us to move it as our header. But if you look at the current header we have, you see that this first here is having sales for the date. To have column 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So now for us to move this table up, this first person up, we should take note of this date because we're going to use it a subsequent. So this first, we should note this 1st of January 2018 because we're going to use it while cleaning our data. So I'll select this first column, and on this menu here, I will click use first row as header. Once I click on it, it will be our first column will be promoted to be a header. Now you can see that we have salesperson north, east, south, and west as our header. That is very good. So we have successfully promoted our header. You see it here, and the Power BI automatically change the data type for us, which we might need to change later when we go further in data cleaning. Now, if you look at here, you have the standard of our table. The valid is 90%, error 0%, empty is 9%. So if your Power BI is not showing this, for you, some persons will not have this column quality showing there. All you're going to do is to go to home. On our home, we'll go to view. See view. If I click on view, you check this column quality. If I check it now, it's off. So when I check it, it will be showing me how clean my data is, how clean my columns and table is. So it's very, very important to check it. So I have done that. The next thing we're going to do now is looking at this data we have here in our first column. We have a lot of things here. We have name, and beside it we have the staff ID, which is not supposed to be. We also have date for, and we have the date. So the first thing we want to do now is to split this column to remove everything. All the thing we need here is salesperson's name. So our duty now is to remove this sales ID and also remove date from this column. But let's start with date first. So looking at our date, you see that we have sales for, we have 2018 0102. Now considering removing separating this date from this column, if you look, the first special character we have here is column. So it is ideal we use column to separate, and it's just common to date. Because if I say let me use space, it will affect the whole lot of other information on this data, on this column. So I'm going to split this column by I'm going to split this column using date to remove the date to another column. So what I'm going to do now is to, on my home button, I'm going to see split column. Remember, this column is already highlighted. So I'll click on split column. Then we have by delimiter, by number of character and all that. So what I'll be using is by delimiter. Delimiter is used whenever you have when you want to separate with a special character. When you want to separate with a special character in your table. So let me click on this by delimiter. Now it's not asking me what delimiter am I to use. Remember, we say we're going to be using colon. I'll click on colon, then split at leftmost. Let me move this so that I can explain. Now I want to use leftmost delimiter. If you look at this cells for in row 7, you will see that the semicolon is very close to the left than it is to the right. So that's why I want to use leftmost delimiter. So if I click on this leftmost delimiter and I say okay, it see that the date has been moved to another column. Can you see that our date has been moved to this place? And all other places where it does not apply, you see a null value on it. Remember, when if you go through this data, you see that this first second of January 2018 applies to all this from row 8 to row 14. That means this date applies to all of these nulls that are showing here. Then also for this date, for the 3rd of January, it applies to all other items on this row. So what we're going to do now, this is not an Excel. If it's Excel, we can easily drag down and autofill, but we can't do that in Power BI. But there's a way it can be done. So I'm going to select my second column. Then, if I select my second column, what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to transform. I'll click on transform. Then I will see field. Some depends on the version of Power BI you're using. You see field, but mine is indicated with an arrow. So I'll click on this field drop down arrow. I have down and up. So what I want to do now, I want to fill down all the dates automatically. So I'm going to click on done. If I click on done now, all the dates will be filled, those that have valid date on it. So I click on done. Can you see that I've automatically filled these dates? If you check again from row 8 to 14, we have January 2nd of January. Then from 15 to 15 to 24, we have 3rd of January, and likewise. So computer, this Power BI automatically fill the date which is correct in the table. All right. Remember when I wanted to promote my first column, first row to header, I told you that we should take note of the date. So that date we deleted was is applicable to this null we are seeing here. So what I'm going to do now is to replace these nulls with the right date, that 1st January 2018 that we cleaned initially. So I'm going to replace this null with date. Still select this second column. Still select the second column. Then I'm going to still on transform tab. You see replace. This is a symbol for replace. In most Power BI, you see replace value, but mine is showing this icon. So I'm going to click on this icon. I'm going to replace values. Now, what am I replacing? I'm going to replace null with the correct date. Remember, Power BI is very case sensitive, and my null appeared in small letter, so I'm going to type it in small letter. I can't use capital letter when it appeared small letter. So let's be sure. See, our null is small. It's written in a low cap, so I have to do that here too. Then I'm going to replace it with, if you take the format of the date we have January 2nd, 2018. So my date, I'm going to have first 1/1/2018. That is January 1st, 2018. And if I say okay, all those null will be replaced with the date. And you can see that we have been able to successfully move our date column out of our salesperson's column. Good. So the next thing looking at, let's go back to the first column. The next thing we are going to be looking at now is that if you look at the name here, James has his ID written close to it. Tim also has his ID written close to it. We want to move this sales ID to another column, just like we did in table, just like we did in date. So first thing I'm going to do is to select this first column and go to split column. I'll click on split column. And before we go to split column, we're going to look in depthly and see that what we're going to use to separate this. We're not going to use space. We're going to use this special character, the open bracket, to separate it from this. So first, I'll highlight my table, click on split column. Then my delimiter will be open brackets. If I check here, I don't have open bracket here. I'll click on custom. I'll be given room to type the open bracket I want to replace it with, and I will still use leftmost delimiter, and I'll say okay. Automatically, this user ID is moved to the next column. Can you see that we have moved it? But looking at this ID, you see that the close bracket is still on it, and we are going. It's ideal that we remove it. So for me to remove this close bracket, I will highlight the column and using a replace value to remove it. So instead of I'm going to click on replace value, then instead of what you ask me what am I replacing, I'm replacing this. I'm going to find this value, and in this replace with, I'll leave it empty so that it will just be return space for me, and I'll say okay. Automatically all the close brackets are removed. And also take note of all the steps we are changing. You see here we have the close bracket, but in our applied steps, the last step we did was to change value, and we remove all the close brackets in the user in the salesperson's name. So we have achieved that, and we are moving forward. So the next thing we're going to do now is to remove the null values we have. And one of the things that will make you a good analyst is not to lose data. So you have to be very careful when you are removing null values. So for us to remove this null value, we are going to study this table to see if these null values we have, they are valuable in other table, in other column or not. So look at the things we are going to be removing. The null here, if you check out this null value, sorry, this null value, this null value we did, okay, this null value we have here is null here, and it's not all through the columns. So it's valid that we remove it, because now if you remove it, nothing spoiled. Then also on this sales for is only having data in the first column, and throughout the other columns is still null. So it is ideal we remove it. Then another thing we are going to also remove now is this salesperson. This salesperson is just like a repeated column. You see, that's what we have. That's the salesperson we promoted. We have salesperson north, east, and all of that. It's just repeated. We already have it here at our header, so we're going to remove this row too. Then another thing is total. You know, this is a Power BI. We don't deal with columns, so we don't deal with row. We deal with column. So what we're going to do now is to this total we have in this is not valid. We don't need it. So what we're going to do now is to go to our first row, the first column we have, and click on this drop down arrow. What we are going to do now is to uncheck. Let me go back. We are going to remove this total row, remove null, we remove sales for and salesperson. Good. And what I'm going to do now, click on this drop down arrow. I'm going to uncheck null. I will scroll down. I'm going to uncheck sales for, salesperson, and total. So once I do that, I have filtered it out of my table down. Can you see that my table before now? Let me go back to my last step. Before now, take note of the valid percentage of my column quality. It's showing me that I have 91%, here 62, 100, 82. So by the time I remove this column I'm referring to, which is what I did here in my applied step, you see that all my columns now have 100% validity. So you see that my data is good to go. My data is good to go. All are 100%. But there's one more thing we need to do. There's one more thing we need to do. We want to, in Power BI, it's easier to have for you to transform your data, or for in your visualization, it's easier to have a longer row than columns. So if you look at this, okay, there's one more step we have not done before I go for transformation. Now look at these names. We are going to rename it. So renaming your column header is just double click on it. I don't want to have this .1.1. I just remove it. I have just salesperson. I press enter. In this place, I have to. All I need here is just ID. Let me use capital letter. I'm going to just use ID. I press enter. Then here, this salesperson too is dates. So I'm going to rename it as dates. And I press enter. So I've successfully changed the date. Now we're going to look at the data type of all our table and see if we are using the right data type. The data type of each table is beside the name. left hand side of the data type. So this one is okay. It shows is an alphabetical, is a text file. Then this our ID is not correct. ID is supposed to be a number, and anytime your number is appearing on the left hand side, it shows that that has not been changed. It's seeing it as text. So, but numbers are always at the right side. So I'm going to change this ID to number, whole number. Good. It has moved it to the left. My date is already date. Is already in date. Look at it here. It's already in date, which is correct. Then for the north, south, east, west, the Power BI has not really recognized it, because once Power BI did not recognize the data type, it will put it as ABC123. ABC123. So it's ideal we change it to whole number. And we have the four columns. We are going to change them. Well, instead of changing the one after the other, we are going to select the column, select all of them together, and change it. Or even if you don't want to change it, just click on this, put whole select whole number, go to this, select whole number. But if the data is much, all you need to do is highlight this, highlight all of them. You press Ctrl Shift and highlight all the headers. Let me do it again. If I press my Ctrl Shift, I highlight all this header. You see they are highlighted. Then I'm going to go to my home tab. Okay, no, still on transform data. I will see data type. You see data type, I will just select whole number. It will automatically change all of them at the same time for me, because changing it all one after the other is going to um, take much time. And one of the things that make a powerful Power BI person or powerful data analyst is to maximize time. So just select all the columns together by holding your Control and Shift key, then select all, then go to this data type and change it all at once. Good. We are good to go at this point. But let's just do one more thing. And I can load this data like this, but what I want to do now is to transfer. This, if you look at this table, look at this table as let's look at this row. This is James. And if you look at here, from north, this is the sales we made in north, south, east, and all of that. So I want to transform it that in such a way that this, instead of being in this horizontal line, I want to make it vertical. It will be easier for me to work on. So what I'm going to do now is to select this north, east, west, and this sales table. Not good. I'm going to select this table all together. Then I'm going to click on transform column. Still on transform. Then I'll see on pivot table, on pivot column. So I'm going to click on this on pivot column. Then, because I have selected north, east, west, and south, I'm going to say on pivot only the selected column. So if I click on this now, you see those north, east, west has been written in a vertical form instead of horizontal. So I've transposed those data, so that if you look at the beginning of the table, you see that I have James four times. Instead of having it in the other way, it's now showing me that this is what James did in north, south, and that. So what I'm going to do, instead of leaving it as attribute and value, I'm going to rename it as a region, then amount. Okay, good. So at this time, I am very good to go. I can now close my data. So after I've cleaned this data, everything is 100%. I've removed the errors, I've splitted, I've removed the nulls. So what I'm going to do now, if I go to my home tab, I will see close and apply. Or you can click on this drop down arrow, you see apply, you can see close. So I want to close and apply. It will close and apply all the changes I have made. If I just click on apply, it will only save it, but I will still be on this page. It will not close. Then if I click on this close, it will close without me saving all the changes I made. So the best option I have now is to just click on close and apply. It will automatically load it to my Power BI interface, Power BI desktop. So with this, I have come to the end of cleaning this particular data I want to use in my data analysis with Power BI. You can see that the data is already loaded. So in my next video, we are going to do visualization with this data. Thank you for watching this video to the end. Like and follow me in this my journey so that you also learn. See you next in my next video. Bye.